Imagine standing on a world where the horizon doesn't curve away from you, but instead terminates in a sharp 90-degree edge that slices into the stars. If the Earth were a perfect cube, you wouldn't just be living on a different shape. You'd be living in a constant losing battle against the fundamental laws of physics. The first thing you'd notice is that gravity is no longer your friend. Because gravity pulls toward the center of mass, the level ground would only exist at the dead center of each of the six faces. As you walked toward an edge, it would feel like you were climbing a mountain that gets steeper and steeper, even though the ground looks flat. By the time you reach the corner, you'd be standing on a 3,000-mile-high peak, tilted at a harrowing angle overlooking a vacuum. Speaking of vacuums, you'd better bring a suit. On a spherical Earth, the atmosphere is held in a relatively even layer, but on a cube, the air would pool in the centers of the faces. Just as a submarine hull is designed to contain 1 atmosphere of internal pressure against the crushing weight of the deep ocean, our atmosphere requires gravity to keep it hugging the surface. On a cube Earth, the corners and edges would stick out so far that they would effectively be in outer space. But here's the real kicker. The Earth wouldn't stay a cube for long. To even force the planet into this shape, you'd have to overcome its gravitational binding energy, roughly 10 to the 32 joules. That is the same amount of energy released by a magnitude 18 earthquake, an event so violent it is described as the energy equivalent of the Death Star blowing up a planet. The moment you let go, gravity would try to pull those corners back down to the center. This slumping would release so much heat that the surface would instantly surpass the chilly 5,800 K of the sun's surface. In fact, the energy of the entire planet shifting back into a sphere would cause a phase change in the crust, melting it into a glowing orb of magma. You wouldn't just be dealing with a magnitude 10 or 15 quake, you'd be experiencing the total structural failure of the world. A cube Earth is a beautiful mathematical curiosity, but in reality, it's just a molten sphere waiting to happen. If you enjoyed this dive into cosmic chaos, hit subscribe and let us know, what's the next planet we should box in?